Hello everyone, it's Laura here, and today we also have Miss Abby. Hello Abby. Hi. I don't know if you guys can hear her, but she's purring for sure. You purring? You want to get down? Cutie. Alright, let me get the chat up before we get too far here. Cutie. Hi Adri. How you doing? Hello everybody. Of course, we've got Kitty Butt again. I don't even know what to tell you. Where's my... Here she is. One tap chat. Alright, good. So I have a little bit of a cold, I think. I woke up feeling really yucky. Hold on, let me refresh. I think Abby pushed a button. Hi, Emily. I saw your Instagram post. It's the Abby show again today. Say hi, Abby. Well, it's funny because... Can you guys see me? Can you see Abby? Because I have a playback problem. Okay. Alright, well, as long as you guys can see her. So you hear my voice, it's like breaking sometimes. I don't really know what to tell you other than at least I'm not contagious. Can't get it through a video. Hey cutie, are you gonna let us color? Are you just gonna sit there? At least we got her head this time. Right, Em? Not your butt? Alright, cutie. Come on, let's get up. Ah. Come here. Come here. Come on. Come here. You know where all the action's gonna be. You're so smart. Huh? She knows. She's no dummy. Right? Okay. Have a great time, Emily. Have a nice start to your day. Alright, so we have here the Magical Mermaid. Alright. I still have Abby in my arms. So, the big news is that I have rearranged my colored pencils. And you guys know I do this every once in a while. I do it because there's some sort of satisfaction in it, but in this situation I actually got 2 new pencil holders for the... Oh, Abby. Alright, well, okay. Yeah, okay. For this part, I guess you can sit there. Sorry guys. So, you're funny kitty. So I got these 2 new pencil holders, and, I think, come on, Ab. You funny cat. Let's just move this over a little. Can you guys still see this? Hi, CB. Hello. Hello, everybody coming in. We have little Miss Kitty here, and she's determined to be the star of the show today. Oh, Abby. Alright. So I believe last we were working on all these doodads, whatever they are right now. I want to finish, I want to do the fish and just fill everything in. And then I think after we filled most of the piece in and gotten most of it where I think it should be, I want to go in with acrylic paint now. Depending on how burnished your pencil piece is, this may or may not work well for you. I'll preface by saying the reason why I've been stressing over the course of the last couple weeks that we want to do light layers in this area is specifically for this technique that we'll be using coming up. The background is really burnished, and that's okay because we're not going to really, we're going to use it, but if it gets a little bit bubbly, that'll be fine because it's in the background. But when it comes to the areas of the face and the hair in the foreground, I tried to keep the layers light, and so I retained the tooth of the paper, which is basically going to help your acrylics grab onto something. So, hi Melody. So Melody, I have to ask you, how did we do without you there? I know you're probably sleeping, right? Got a little itchy kitty, huh? Well, I'm sure Melody will answer us soon. I might have a delay on my chat. Oh, good. Okay, good. I hope it helped. I hope that you have one in there that you like. Okay, so let's go on. Let's do this fishy here, and I'm thinking he might be the same type of fish as this fish, but maybe slightly different colors. I like to do this a lot to like vary and sort of like tell them apart. Let's just move this for a moment so we can get our color pencils. What color do we want? I'm going to use, are you twitchy? I'm going to use light aqua. I'm just going to pull some pencils because I think that might be easier considering the kitty cat. I'll grab my burnt ochre. We could use peach. So what I'm aiming to do when I'm pulling my pencils is just to get a comprehensive color range and value range. So I look for light and dark pencils. I look for pencils with different colors. So you see here I'm going for like a teal and a brown mixture. So the teal will be on the bottom, same as this fishy. And then the brown will be right here, and we'll use a mixture of the brown and the teal on the top. For this fish, since it's smaller and it's near her face, this fish was easy to hide and all that stuff, but this one is more standing alone. We don't want to take too much attention away from the face, so that's why I'm deciding to do a similar but less saturated color scheme. Good morning. Yeah, she's very happy to be right here, right next to us, right now. Are you just gonna stay there the whole time? She knows by now that the table is the center of the show. So she, I think she's like, as long as I'm on the table, they'll get me in the shot, right? Right? Let's see if I can adjust it. You guys are going on a little ride. Oh, I guess sometimes she looks, but I can move this down now. That's good. So can you guys see? Oh, there she is. There you go. Little Abby face in there. Alright, so you guys can see okay. See, I can't see on the screen, so this is... So the morning time is itchy for Abby. Yeah. Alright, so I'm sorry, I'm using 905. Let's see. Yep, I think I said hi to everybody. Hello, Judy. Hello, everybody. Anybody who's just lurking or watching later, hello. So I do want this fin to feel transparent, and what's behind it is a very light color, but you can see here we have a shadow underneath. Now it looks very much like a cool green here, so I'm just gonna go in with this same aqua, what is it, aquamarine 905, the same color we used right through there. And it isn't out of pure laziness. We're just making this fin feel a little bit more transparent by picking up the color that's surrounding it. Whoop, you didn't like that? She doesn't like the sound of big engines. Oh, you okay, cutie? She's alright. Oh, thank you. Alright, so let's see here. And I'm sorry, guys, if my voice is funny. Okay. So, yep. Now we're using 992, which is light aqua. I'm just going to go right along the very edge of the color we use there. Let's also put this in that fin. Alright, and then let's move over to burnt ochre. This is 943. And we're going to just go right along the bottom here. Well, not the bottom, the middle, sort of like right next to where we were just at. The, you know, like the next. You guys know what I mean. Alright. And now I'm moving on to 941, which is light umber. And we don't worry too much right now about the actual individual little scales. I'm just giving the overall body a light pressure sort of layer this here. So what we're trying to do here is just establish some contrast. Fish have a totally weird, kind of strange way that they light, you know, like they flash in different light and they have different color schemes. So luckily we can get away with a lot right here, and we don't have to worry too much about realism, because as long as there's enough contrast, then we're gonna, it's gonna look good. So I think let's actually move on to 939, which is peach. I don't know if this is gonna focus. Hold on. There we go. 939. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Hello, Shannon. Yeah, me too. I like fishies. So what we're doing right here is just a base coat. We're just getting our color areas blocked in. And this is helpful just to sort of overall see the end result before it's finished. You can make adjustments easily in this time by, you know, erasing certain areas that will be harder to erase later once we start pressing harder. Okay, so I think let's move on. Hi. Oh, are you gonna go over by the window? Alright, let us do our thing. Abby loves to go sit by the window and watch the squirrels and the birds. I have like a little bed over there for her, so she sleeps right in the windowsill. Alright, now we have some room. So I was thinking about this bit back here. It's very, very yellow. I don't remember exactly what color we used, but let's grab 942, and I'm sure this will not show up on camera, but it's 942 yellow ochre. And I'm just gonna go right back behind here and just lightly put a layer of this down right over the fins, and I'm gonna stop right where the hair stops. I'm just, it doesn't have to be perfect. That's the beautiful thing about that. Alright, and then back here on the other side of that piece of hair is like a dark aqua area. So I'm gonna grab the aquamarine, the 905. I don't know if that's picking up. I'm going to use 905 here, right behind. So that's what makes a fin feel transparent, is when something divides it in the middle. We have that going on here too, so we can do the same thing, where we just, where the background would be, or where that darker area would be, we can just continue that with the aquamarine. And it makes it feel a little bit more like transparent, I guess. Okay, so let's go back over. Now we're going to go and darken up certain areas. We wanted to feel more contrasty. So for that, yeah, they do. Alright. So thank you all for being here. Let's zoom in a little now that we have room to move the book around, actually. There we go. Alright, yep. So I'm using, I'm sorry, 943 burnt ochre. Well, hello, Guillermina. Is that how I say it? Guillermina? I'm not sure. Alright, so we'll use the same color right along here. And also along. And just under as well. So what's really fun about this color scheme, it's almost opposing colors. This is almost an orange and this is almost a blue. So they really do make each other pop, but let's take it a little further. I'm going to grab the 905 again. This is aquamarine. And I'm going to go right underneath here. Let's make this fishy pop a little more. So I'm just using circular motions here. And just giving a little bit more contrast to just that bottom, leaving a little tiny stripe right at the edge, and then a bigger area right before the brown, the burnt skin is, or burnt ochre. So in that way we can kind of create like some depth to it, almost like that's his belly. And I really like this color, so let's use it to also put underneath the scales as our shadow color. Now remembering that the light is coming from this direction, we have the shadows going, since it's going this way, the shadows go on the bottom and just a little bit to the left. And when we always remember our light source, then it usually looks cohesive at the end. Oh, hello, Bev. Hi, everybody. Alright, hello everyone. Good morning. It is a lovely day. Alright, so we have this softening of the line by using this pencil also just makes it feel more three-dimensional. You can go overboard on this and make it look really 3D. I just like doing, since the fish is super stylized, I just like doing it in a stylized way. And that way, it sort of fits the overall drawing. you could go, excuse me, oh my goodness, you could go a whole lot more realistic with it. However, I think for this drawing, it's really fun to play with the illustrator's own style and sort of embrace it instead of force my own hand all the time, if that makes sense. So a lot of the times with this kind of thing, I like how this little guy turned out. You know, he's stylized too, but he still turned out pretty well. And it's all because we just sort of embrace what's here. And I think that's what I like about coloring, is that it's not just what one person is saying about art, it's what two people are saying about art. And I always think, you know, the phrase two heads are better than one, right? You know, there's always a way to interpret a coloring page, and it's not, there's no wrong way or right way. But I think a lot of the times there's something really fun about enhancing and really bringing out the illustrator style. So just using it all over for all the shadows on the scales really kind of ties everything together. Now I just want to add a little bit more darkness, I guess, to the this brown area here. Yeah, exactly, Judy. So we have 946. This is dark brown, and I'm going to use it right along and just sort of give a pop of contrast. Alright, so I left a little bit of the areas the same burnt sienna color that, or I'm sorry, burnt ochre. I always do that, burnt sienna. The same color here. I left some of that. But let's actually go over some of this mouth too. Yeah. Okay. So what's fun is a lot of the effects that I'm going to try and achieve on this little fishy will be done with probably white gouache for the fish. But for that eye, let's try something a little different here. I'm gonna grab my Faber-Castell Pitt Artist Pen. This is the extra small. It really is really small. This one is well loved, if you know what I mean. Oh, but it works perfectly beautifully. We're just gonna fill in that eye, and I think let's just give a little dimension to the outer eye. Okay, so the next thing I want to show is just how to, like, one of the biggest questions people ask is how to get rid of the black outlines. You know, there's a lot of different ways to approach this. I've seen so many different methods. So I'm just going to say, I'm going to offer some unique ways that maybe you don't see as often, or, you know, maybe you've never seen before. Just different approaches to how I tend to now get rid of the black outlines. So we have, yeah, we're going to use a couple of different things in this section. We're going to use white gouache. We're going to use Dr. P.H. Martin's Bleed Proof White. And we're also going to use, probably in a different session, acrylic paint. And we're actually going to use maybe a couple of different colors of acrylic paint. Oh, thanks, Shannon. Woohoo! Thank you guys so much. I think she turned out okay. Now, there's maybe some things I would like to change about her, but in general, considering we started her over a year ago, I'm fairly happy with the end result. And the thing is like, once we get all this stuff on the piece, I think you'll find that a lot of the things that might bother you right now will kind of just fade away with this stuff. Excuse me. Let me take a drink of water. Well, thank you. Yeah, the colors are really fun. Alright. So, what we're gonna do, for the first thing, what you'll need with either of these is a paintbrush. Now, there's a whole bunch of different ways to select your brushes. I have a lot of different brushes here, right? Does anybody else collect little paintbrushes? Am I the only one? Does anybody else do this? Hi! Okay, good. And these are all fairly cheap. None of these are super expensive except for maybe these guys. So we'll put those away. I'm putting away all the old ones, or the super expensive ones. Alright, this one is my mask brush. This one. Okay, what I have left here is a whole bunch of cheap brushes. They are gonna work perfectly well for what we're gonna do. Alright, so I'm not alone. Okay, good. I mean, I feel sorry for your guys' paycheck too. I'm sorry. So I have here, these are like the crafting brushes. I have like a, let's see, what are they? This is a 3-0. Come on, focus. That little one. And you can see they're already very well loved. And this one is a 0-0. There we go. So these guys are fairly small, and I think they'll do a fairly decent job. But I have here another one. This one is just a 1, and it's the Royal Langernickel, but this one is brand new. So I think we can use that one too. Yeah, I think we'll use all of the small little cheapy brushes. And you can get these either on Amazon or at your local shops. They're just Golden Taklon synthetic brushes. I heard about that, Judy. You'll live. So the other thing we're going to need for these guys is some water, so let me go grab some. What are you doing, Dad? Okay. I did. Basically. I mean, you know, she will. She's got probably a lot. You probably have a lot of supplies, right? He wouldn't cut you off. You will. You'll live. You'll figure it out. You'll get creative. Alright, I'm looking for my little palette. Where'd it go? Looking is where it should be today. Sorry, guys. Okay. So I just, I reuse things all the time. This is like, I don't know, it's like plastic bit from a packaging or something. I don't know. I save anything that might be useful. I reuse things over and over too. So the first thing let's go over, since Adri was so super excited, this is white gouache. Now, my tube is fairly old, but the trick with white gouache is just pinching. I'm sorry about the street noise. What is that? I don't know. Anyway, you pinch from the bottom and work your way up. With any metal tube, that's really the best way. This is the Winsor & Newton Designer's Gouache in Permanent White. So I just squeezed a big blob of it out. Now you can keep this wet the same way that you keep acrylic paint wet. Just grab it. And that is with a little spray mister of any kind. Oh, nice, Juby. Oh yeah, see, you'll be fine. You've already ordered books. See, I knew that wouldn't last very long. So you can just spray, and I'm not going to do it over my drawing, but spray the white gouache with just a mist, and that'll really keep it moist and from drying out, getting that skin over it. Let's first use the older, more well-loved, if you will. This is the 0/0 Craft Smart brush. So let's use this at first. Just test it out and see how we're going to do. Let's do it on the fishy we just finished. So what you want to get it is a consistency where it's smooth and creamy. It needs to have plenty of the pigment, or you're going to need to go over it a second time. Sometimes that happens. That's okay. I'm sure it will happen to me at some point, and we can show you how it's done. So what's great about white gouache is that it dries matte. So when it's dry, you can go over it with colored pencil very easily. And that'll be the next session, hopefully our last session with this page, and we're going to move on. So in that session, we're going to show how to go over this. So you can see that the older brush has less ability in it. It has a harder time to get through some of these more tight spaces. Now what's great is, say you've done something that you're not super happy with. That's okay. Nobody's perfect. So what we can do is take a clean brush, right? It doesn't have any paint or gouache on it or anything. Just gently go over it with the water, and it might seem crazy, but what we're doing is just diluting it, and it becomes one big blob. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm taking something I don't like and I'm going to make it work. And we can come back over this again later. Now what's cool is, let me grab... So you can use anything that you like, a paper towel or whatever. I'm just going to use this old washcloth. Just lift that up. Now it won't be perfect, it'll be kind of misty, but for our situation that's totally okay. So now I can go back over that again. So these little brushes are great when they're new, and when they start to get older and less snappy and they don't respond as well, that's when I start using them for less detail work. I would use these instead for larger areas and, you know, things that don't have to be fine. But even though this is a larger paintbrush, because it's new, let's actually get the... It comes shipped with like some fun glue or something on it. You always want to wash that out. But this is a brand new brush and it'll be much more responsive. So sometimes it's worth it to get a new brush when you've got little tiny details. So let's zoom in now. Yeah, it's a sizing, yeah. Exactly. Okay, so this brush holds way more paint because it's a bigger brush. But it also has more snap, more control. So sometimes if you're struggling with something, it might not always be you, it might be your tool. Learning how to recognize when that is the case is a good idea. Okay, so this isn't perfect, but you get the idea. So what's cool about this whole situation is it's very meditative. You just get in a mind frame of being patient. Now, ideally, you know, they're all supposed to look the same, but I find that actually variation is really good for realism or semi-realism. So I don't stress about making each one perfect. Oh, hi, Heather. Hello. Oh, still sore, huh? Well, I hope you are feeling much better soon. So, what's great about painting in your book is as long as you're not using too much water, really you can get away with painting on paper like you do on canvas. Just have to build it up. Oh, hi, Pickle. Did I say hi? I'm not sure. Alright, so you can see by watering it down, you do need to add a second layer to a lot of the areas. That's okay. If it goes down nice and bright like this and then ends up sort of faded later, you can always go back over it. Alright, so you can see, especially with tight little details, no. Well, I hope your back feels better. Gosh. So strong. Aww. Okay, so when this dries, what's really cool is it becomes almost like the lines are like a gray, and I kind of like that. Sometimes I leave it like that, and sometimes I'll go over it again to make it white. You can also go over it with colored pencil and put a color in. So there's a lot of ways that you can hide these big bold lines, make it look more painterly. It's with paint. Alright, so let's do the tail. No. Just wish you didn't have to be, Heather. It's one thing being able to, but it's another to actually have to. So here I'm using thicker paint. It's got less water mixed in. A little bit harder to spread, but hopefully will be more opaque the first time down. We'll see how the difference looks. Alrighty, so at this point now you can kind of get the idea behind how we go ahead and get rid of the black outlines. So what I'm going to do is let's move on to another area. Let's see here, we'll do, should we do like the shells or the earrings, something else? Let's see here. Oh, okay, nice. Yeah, we can do like the seashells maybe? Something else? And I'll just show how the technique for doing different. Aww. Let's see here. Hi, Brittany. Hello, welcome. Sorry if I missed you earlier. Alright, so I'm going to use the same brush. Well, that's alright, Judy. I understand. Alright, so in this situation, excuse me, in this situation we've got some seashells, and again the light is coming from this direction. So I want to highlight just certain parts and leave other parts of the shell alone. So let's see here. Alright, so I put it along that ridge there, and just a little right there. Leaving some of the lines black and putting some white, making some white, is a really cool way to kind of bring out the contrast. So again, I'll do the same thing. And let's put some white dots right along the ridge here. Now, the reason why I love white gouache, why it's one of my favorites, is even though it sometimes dulls in opacity when you water it down, it still, with two coats especially, becomes very opaque and very matte. So it allows you to do so much with it. You can go over it with marker or color pencil. Just be advised that wet media will kind of lift it a little bit. It does reactivate with water, just like watercolor does. Pardon the bus. School bus. Oh my goodness, Judy, you broke your eyes? Oh, yes, I can zoom in. I'm sorry. Oh, I'll do another zoomed in. I'll do these guys here. I did these guys right here. So we'll do another one. Alright, so just gonna again go over the areas where the light would touch. And we'll do the little dots of white. So what's fun about these stylized shells and the fish is that we really can play a lot with how we highlight and shade them. No, you're welcome, Judy. Oh man, 100 p.m. That's a really, really late day. I have never stayed up till 100 p.m. Or 100 a.m.? Is it a.m. or p.m.? Alright, Steampunk Kitty. Is that from the Kirby book or the Julius Spree book? Or a different book? I don't know, there could be more than one steampunk cat. Okay, so let's keep going. I'm just going to do different objects. We're going to sample the Kirby book. Okay. So let's go ahead and do these. Let's follow where the light is already on these shells. So let's get rid of any lines that are distracting, basically. So I leave the ones that kind of blend in or don't bother me. And I only outline this because that black outline is very visible on the outside. On the interior of the object, because of the way we've placed the shadows, I'm not actually super fussed about putting the white line. So some people will cover the white outline, the black outlines no matter what, with white and then color them in. Sometimes I prefer just to leave the black outlines as they are and only cover the ones that really stand out to me. So we'll just keep doing that in this little area. So when we do this and then we come over it later with colored pencil, what you'll find is that you can practically blend it in and make it seamless. We'll do that in a couple other spots. Let's see. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think once you get the paint on there. So let's do some of the hair actually, because I think that's a big part of making it look blonde is actually getting rid of these dark outlines. So let's start the hair. That's going to be quite a task. So again, you can ignore the spots where the lines blend in. Down in these deep, darker areas, I'm not too concerned about that, but along these light spots where it's basically bright, bright yellow. I want to just start slowly removing the lines by just following them with the white gouache. And this is going to take a while because there's a lot of lines. We'll probably need to go over them multiple times. So really, at this point, what you want to do is just zone out. You know, grab an ebook or some music and just relax. Because it does take some patience. Okay, as soon as your gouache starts to grow a skin, if you know what I'm talking about. Do you know what I'm talking about? Where there's like an outer layer and then the inner goopier spot. That's when you want to spray it again, and I just missed it once with the spray. And now it looks like that. When these little beads, oh, sorry, kitty hair. When these little beads dry up, that's when you want to mist it again. Keeps that skin off of it. You can conserve your paint for a long time that way. So let's keep going. Uh-oh. Oh, yeah. Are you coming to say hi? Oh, no. She just decided to check us out on the way to bigger and better things, aka the food bowl. Mm-hmm. Alright, see you later, Guillermina. I think I say that all wrong. Guillermina? Hi Daria. You're not late at all. Don't worry. Oh yeah, Judy. No, Abby right now she's chowing down. She's over eating food. Does anybody else's cats like save their food for later? Like she'll eat some of it when I put it down, but then she'll just save some of it. And then she comes back to it later. Like right now. Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely, Leslie. I thought it was a great question too. I was like, yeah, let's do that. Yeah, it's funny, Heather, how cats do that. It's like don't you know, Kitty, there's like a cabinet full of food that you don't need to save it, just eat it. So funny. like, she sees all the cans laying there ready for her, like, waiting. So funny. Uh-huh. Well, I'm glad it helps. So the thing about this is it's not perfect yet, especially with the hair. I will definitely want to come back in with colored pencil. So what we'll do is we're gonna get most of this done as much as we can. Yeah. And then next, what I'm going to do is whatever I don't finish, we have an hour left, so maybe we should do on the face. Excuse me. So you can see here how I would apply. I would do the same thing to this fish that I did to this fish. I would do the same thing to the shells, and I would get rid of any places on the seaweed that had places that stand out. But on places like this where it's really hard to see, I just leave that as it is. But let's work on the face, since that's the one thing I think that we should show on camera. Yeah, acrylic will work. Why don't we show some acrylic? Oh, I wanted to show some of this too, so let's do a shell or something. Let's do her earrings with this. So this is different than the gouache. Comes in a little container like this. I like to use a palette knife to stir it up. It's kind of goopier, thicker consistency. So once it's all nice and mixed up again, and it's like a runny, I don't know if you guys can see this. Well, I just let some of that drip onto my palette. And this is white ink, it's bleed proof, so that means it's actually, I don't know if you guys can see this, but it's much more white than the other white. It's hard to tell on the video, I think, but it has a more opaque consistency. Now just make sure to clean off your palette knife. Right, Abby is right here. So now I have a blob of my ink. So we're going to do this next, and then we'll move on into the acrylic. So let's see, yeah, these seashells, that's what uh-huh. Well, and we learned from you, Heather. Okay, there we go. Earrings. Boop, boop. So these are mostly in the dark, but I want to really make them feel very opally, very shiny. So we're going to still use this in some key spots. Now this is in a spot where I've used much more wax, so unfortunately it may bead up some. But you'll find that with the Dr. Peach Martins, it does not bleed through, no matter how much wax is actually down. And since this is ink again, no problem with putting colored pencil right on over it. So even though it's it's sort of beating up because of the wax. It's still covering the lines, and it has like this really weird, neat effect. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let that dry, and then I'll go over it again wherever the lines are showing through in a way I don't like. But what helps is when you do that, even in a very waxy spot, the first layer gives the second layer something to grab a hold of. So if it doesn't look great on the first try, that's okay as long as you can go back over it again. So let's do it again only on this one. I have a feeling this one might be even a little bit more difficult. So let's see how we go. Hi, cutie. Abby. Alright, so I have made a little bit of a mess of this. However, I'm just going to worry about fixing that up as far as the actual pencil goes once we get that back over it. However, it is covering the spots that I really want it to. So even though it's not perfect, I'm fairly happy with that. Let's see if this has dried enough. Yeah, so you can see it kind of takes hold. Now, this might not look great, however, I tend to go over this again with colored pencil, and it really does blend in and becomes very seamless. So I don't worry too much about how it looks at this very moment. As long as I can cover the black lines that I really don't want to see. So don't be afraid if it looks really messy. You can come back. So I'll show how we go over it with color pencil later. But what I do love about the P.H. Martins, and maybe something we should do here, let's do this very pink shell. This pink shell, normally with gouache, we would get some of the ink coming through, or some of the pigment rather. This shell here. Let's do this with the P.H. Martins. Again, this is fairly burnished, so we'll see how we go. Oh, Eddie. Hello. Welcome back, CB. No. No. That's great, Judy. Alright, so what we've got a whole bunch of different types of white paint going down. We had the gouache, now we're using the Dr. P.H. Martin's Bleed Proof. Now, yeah, once it's dried a little bit, you can see that the second layer goes down much easier. Now what's different from the gouache and this is that it really doesn't bleed. So if anybody has tried white gel pen over pink pigment before or red pigment, they know that it's notorious for coming right through. In that situation, I use the bleed proof. I find it to be just a better, more opaque white as far as that's concerned. So let's move this over to the side. Let's spray it down. So just to keep it wet for a little while, I just spray the whole thing down and set it aside. We're gonna move on into the acrylic paint. Yeah, so that's the difference there. Yeah, me too. So okay though, the bleed proof white is your fix there, especially for red pigments. Alright, so now we're going to use some acrylic paint. Uh-huh. Thanks, Stars. Yeah. But you know, it's fine. Alright, so for my acrylic paint, especially for the areas of the skin, I'm going to be using only a few small selection of colors. Let me grab a palette. Hi, you're a real good kitty. Yeah. She's so funny. I just have a lid to something. So let's just call out the colors. We have titanium white. I'm using the Liquitex Professional. You can use any brand you like. I'm using quinacridone crimson, burnt sienna, and Naples yellow hue. I may grab other colors as we go, but that's what I think I'm going to need at least for this bit. Yeah, I'll have links in the description of all of the different products that I used today. Just give me like a couple hours after the show just so I can get some work done before I come back. And so I only need a little bit of these. You're funny. Judy. I knew that wouldn't last long. That's why I said you'll live. So funny. Put those up there. So these are heavy body acrylics. So I do mist them down the same way. So we just have some water droplets, but it's not super saturated. And now let's go ahead and start mixing up. Let's see, can you see my palette? Yeah. So I'm taking some of the white and some of the, is this burnt sienna? Yep. and it makes a very similar color to the color we need. Let's just color swatch this just to test and see. So when you're not sure how to match a color, what I suggest doing is just taking a scrap paper and just putting the bit of color right over the paper. Then you can swatch and see, especially when it's dry, you can see exactly, here, let me show you. So you can just hold it against and you see that's a fairly good match. But now this acrylic will dry a couple shades darker. So you gotta think of it that way too. You can either wait for this to dry, which is fine. You can swatch a slightly less thick area and wait for that to dry. Or you can just sort of approximate. So I know here this is a little too dark. I need to go a little bit lighter to match the area that's around her cheeks. But it's a really quick way. So just by adding more white into my mixture. Oh, I'm sorry, you're zoomed in here. Yeah. So now we have a new mixture, much more water in it, so that might not work too great. Let's mix them in with less water. There we go. So I think this color range might work fairly nicely for our little section of dots here. Let's see, can you see? There you go. So now I just go ahead So my objective here is just to simply make them fade. I'm not worried about hiding them completely. Because number one, I don't mind there being texture on her skin, especially if she's a mermaid. Number two, it can be explained by bubbles or a bunch of other things. And number three, I just want to take this harsh outline away and make it feel more a part of her than just like this weird decoration. So as long as I've achieved that, I'm not too concerned about actually making them disappear. Now you could spend a while color matching, waiting around for it to dry and doing all that work to make sure that it actually blends in. But by painting it a close color, I think we'll achieve a really nice result. Now just keep in mind that when you paint this acrylic paint thickly, it will dry to a shine. It makes it harder to color pencil over. In fact, I don't recommend it. So that's why I'm actually trying to mix up the color I really want it to end up being. When you're not mixing up the color, when you're just putting white on and then trying to color pencil over it, I would recommend using the craft acrylic paint like Americana or Deco Color. There's a couple of other brands out there. As long as they're matte acrylic craft paint, that would work beautifully. So you don't have to use these paints. I just have them available to me, so I use them. So just use what you have, or you know, you can go and buy cheaper craft paint. It will work beautifully for you. So and I do have some of that. However, I don't have it in the skin tones. I mostly have like blacks and some blues and stuff, so I should get some more of it. Good morning, Joey. But what's so fun about this, I feel, is it's super relaxing. You just sit there and paint circles. Really, really relaxing. So again, you may have to go over them more than once. It's because we're just fighting this really dark outline. It's totally normal. Now you could fill these in. It might look like freckles. So there's a lot of ways you can handle this. Oh, hi, Anne. Abby. I don't know if you guys can hear her, but I think she wants to play. Do you want to play, Anne? Oh yeah, look at you. You're so funny. Yeah, you want to play, huh? She's so funny. Been very frisky lately. Don't worry guys, she's got plenty of toys. She just wants me to drag that wand tool around. Yeah, I know. You want me to drag the wand tool out? Yeah, see, you got a catnip toy right there. Go for it. Get him. Right now she's chasing around her toy. I feel like I'm a cat commentator. Good morning, Joey. I think I said that. So you can see this is just a matter of patience. As they dry, you'll see how much darker it gets. You can adjust for that. Yeah, but I feel like just by blending it in and making it less, it's so much contrast when it's in black on a light skin, and even on darker skin. I feel like taking the time to go through this, especially because it's on her face, I think is worth it. Alright guys, how are we doing? Still with the tour, as Dee Dee would say? Alright. So as they dry, you see definitely some of them lose their opacity quite a lot. but luckily with a couple of layers it does resolve. Abby! Hi! You gonna come say hi? She's something else. So let's do the lips here, which are another big part. I think you guys can see how we're gonna go along with that. So now I'm mixing together the titanium white and the quinacridone crimson, and a little bit of the burnt sienna. Here we go. And what we're doing is we're just matching this color here. Doesn't have to be a perfect match, but again, just to soften that outline. Oh, hello. Hi. Kitty alert. Hi. Let's just zoom out. Okay, I've got the paint. This rarely ever happens. Hi, Adam. Okay. Where are you going? Oh my goodness. Abby. She's so funny, guys. You gotta explore everything all of a sudden right now? Hmm? What? No, not that. Yep, okay. Good, she's good. No paint on the nose. Oh my goodness, Sam. Okay. Crisis averted. Yeah, you're a good girl. Hmm? Okay. Second time in one day. So again, I don't need to do the middle line there. I feel like that middle line is so dark anyway. But just the areas that really stand out as being too dark. And now, if you want to, let's mix in some of this pink right into this bottom lip. Now when it dries, hopefully it will dry just a little bit darker than that. Really does change the way it looks dramatically, I think. Takes it to a different place. So what I'll do is, the rest of this piece really is just about covering all those lines. So I think what I'll do is I'm going to do that off camera. It's a lot of work and I don't want to bore you guys to tears. You get the idea of how I color match. So now that this is dry, you can really see just how close they are to the original colors. So really, I think this small selection, I didn't even use the yellow, but I might for the hair. You know, so we can come back next week with this all covered over, all the lines that I want to change, and we can go through and do the color pencil work. So yeah, this little guy, he's pretty cool, right? And we'll put some colored pencil over him. That's why we used gouache. It's a matte. It feels kind of like the perfect texture for colored pencil. So yeah, so that's the difference between all the different medium. The acrylic, especially this type, can be glossy, so it's not great for going over with colored pencil, but you can mix the exact color you're after, especially if you match it with a color matching system like we used here. And then the other ways, if you want to use pencil over it, I would recommend either the white gouache or the white bleed proof ink. So I'll have all of these products. Here's the gouache and here's the ink. I'll have all these products in the description below after the video is done rendering in a couple hours or so. So that way you can snag them for yourself. Alright guys, so I hope, let's see here. Yep, we're an hour and a half, but I think since I'm not feeling so great, I'm gonna end this a little bit early. Yeah, you too. Thank you for attending, Jody. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed watching all the different white paint go down, basically. And I'll come back next week with all of my homework done, so to speak, with all the lines covered up. And then we can go through and add colored pencil over that. So, alright guys, thank you. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you next week for the finale. Yep, thank you so much. Alright, have a great one. Aw, well don't worry, Joey, it's there for you. Just give it a little while to render out. Alright, take care guys. Thank you so much. I'm going to give a shout out here. We've got Judy and Adri and Leslie. We've got CB, or Connie. We've got Joey and Daria. Thank you all so much for staying till the end. I really appreciate it. Have a wonderful day. Bye.